All right, this is the last tutorial I haven't made yet, and what we're trying to do is separate out this image right here located on this bottom original layer, and we're going to separate it out into three different layers. Number one, just the hiker here on the front. Then we need a cave where we've removed everything, the valley, the hiker, and even his shoes down here at the bottom. And then we are going to take the valley and we're going to cut it out and then use generative fill to fill in the rest of that. So let's go ahead and walk through that process. First, I need to select my subject. Here in the new Photoshop, we can hit select subject right on our search bar. Zoom in and make sure that it's actually got all of him. And it looks pretty good, although it didn't quite get this foot. So I'm just going to switch to my quick select tool, which is right here with W. Use the bracket keys to shrink this down a little bit. And let's add that shoe in and hold the Alt key to remove anything that's not correct. Maybe make this a little smaller. And there we go. All right, so now we've got a pretty good grab, but we're not quite selecting the whole thing. I can see there's a little edge around it, not quite done. So I'm going to go to Select, Modify, and modify the selection by expanding it by about, if I were to zoom in, looks like if I count them up, this is like maybe 1, 2 pixels. So Select, Modify, Expand, 2 pixels, and that does a pretty good job. That gets outside of all of where he's at. Great, so there's our subject. So I'm just going to jump him up to a new layer. I can actually right click on this and choose layer via cut, and that's going to make our new hiker layer here all by himself. So that's like what you see up here. So now I've got this, going to rename him hiker, put that at the top. Now I need to remove him and the valley here from the original. So hide that and then come back to the original, select the valley. And so I'm going to hold down my W key to switch to select, make the brush bigger, and hold my shift key down to go around and quick select the valley. And anything right here that we've missed, I'm going to options click with my quick select tool to lose those. And I think that's pretty good. Oops. That just a little bit. Let's zoom in a little bit and make this a little smaller. And oops. All right. So that looks like we've grabbed that pretty well. Oops. Let's get this nice little piece. And that looks good. So I'm going to go ahead and let's take that and jump it out to its own layer. Actually, I do want to make sure I have this guy selected too. So I've got that selected and right click, new layer via cut. And that's going to give me the valley, albeit it's missing everything else in here. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to call that valley. Hold my W key to get my quick select again and select here in the empty space. Or actually what we can do is just command click on the valley here, which is going to select him. And then I want to invert my selection so it selects everything else. So Shift Command I inverts the selection. And now I can see the marching ants are selecting all the empty space. We're going to hit generative fill and generate. And let's see what it comes up with to fill in this valley with generative AI. I think it's going to look great. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. And then it looks like we kind of got this little edge around it, not quite there. So I'm going to undo that. And I actually need to expand this selection a little bit so it's not missing the edge pixels. So I'm going to go to Select, Modify, Expand. Let's do that by like 3 pixels maybe. And so you see that now that creeps in a little bit into the image. So I think that's going to be better. And now we're going to generative fill, generate. And let's go ahead and see if that erases or fills everything in and erases the guy. 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. All right, so that's our new valley. I'm going to go ahead and we've got this valley. If I turn off everything else, I see that now I've got the generative fill is right here and the valley is right there. So I need to select both of them and merge these two together. So I'm going to right click and choose merge layers. And that is my new valley. And it's interesting with generative fill, you can see here is another way I've created it, and here's this way. So I'll just keep this one. So now I've got my hiker, I've got my original, which I'm going to rename to cave. And of course, I should have kept an original here, but I still have the original file. And with these turned on, we need to put the valley behind the cave. And there we go. So the only thing left, let's see, is let's look at this cave. And the cave, if I move the hiker at all, we're going to be missing this. So on the cave, I need to go and fill in where his shoes were. So I'm just going to use my lasso tool, select this, and same thing, generative fill, generate. And let's see if that fills in the boot areas here in the cave. Otherwise, we could use our tools to clone stamp over those areas. Let's see if that looks all right. Yeah, it looks all right. So I'm going to go ahead and turn him back on, merge the cave and that generative fill layer. Ooh, looks like actually we do need to clone stamp just a little bit. No problem. I'm going to hit my stamp tool, resize my brush, hold my Option key down to select from over here, and let's just go brush in a little bit of this. Looks great. Probably need another little tweak, but I think that's going to look great for our purposes now. So now it's ready to go. Save and